walked into his office and saw her standing there, quiet, still, holding his $60,000 gold watch in her hands. Not stealing it, not even looking around, just staring at it, like it meant something only she could understand. Her uniform was wrinkled, her shoes squeaked with every step. She didn't notice he was behind her, but he noticed everything. The open drawer, the key still dangling from the lock, the safe slightly ajar, and in that moment he made a decision. Not to speak, not to ask, just assume. He cleared his throat, loud. She jumped. "Is there something you'd like to explain, Jeanette?" he said coldly. The way she blinked, like she'd been yanked from another world, was all the answer he needed. He didn't yell. He didn't fire her. What he did was worse. He'd locked away every part of his world. Changed codes, installed more cameras, watched her every move, while she still dusted his shelves, cleaned his floors, and folded his shirts with perfect hospital corners. She never defended herself, not once. And that somehow made him more certain she was hiding something. But the thing is, the thing that broke him later was what she was hiding. And when he finally found out, it made him cry in the middle of the hallway, right in front of everyone. The first sign was the crooked painting. It wasn't big, just a framed abstract sketch hanging outside the home office. But it had been tilted for days, maybe weeks. No one touched it. No one noticed. No one cared. Except Jeanette. She paused, glanced down the hall, and with the tip of her knuckle she straightened it. That was it. That was the moment. Because inside that office, on the desk, under a layer of unread papers and finance magazines, sat a solid gold Audemars Piguet watch. Face down, unlocked drawer. Security camera pointed just off angle. She didn't know the camera was even there. She wasn't supposed to be in the room. She only stepped in because the vacuum cord had caught on the doorframe, and she was tired of tripping on it. The office smelled like leather and stale cologne. She didn't step past the desk, she didn't open anything, but she saw the watch. And she froze. It was beautiful. Not flashy, but dense, weighted, like it held time hostage instead of just keeping track of it. She picked it up, not to steal it, just to look. Maybe to remember something. Maybe to feel something. But that's when the camera caught her. From the hallway, on the second monitor in the guest lounge, a security guard glanced up, frowned, and picked up his radio. Mr. Callahan was not a man who liked to be interrupted. Not during trading hours, not during squash, not when sipping his daily spirulina smoothie, which Jeanette mixed each morning like a ritual. But when the guard said, "She's holding the watch, sir," his hand froze mid-stir. He didn't ask why, didn't ask how long. He just looked down at the straw in his glass and muttered, "Of course." He didn't confront her immediately. No raised voices, no accusations. He simply waited. 2 days later, she came in to clean, and the lock on the office had changed. When she looked puzzled, he smiled. "Oh, just security protocol," he said. "You understand, don't you?" She nodded once, softly. "Of course, sir." The next week, the guest bathroom she usually cleaned had a sign taped to the door. Occupied. Deep maintenance. But she could hear the echo of her own footsteps inside. One day, she noticed a new camera, tucked discreetly near the wine fridge. Another day, her mop and gloves had been moved, her name written wrong on her cleaning checklist. And then came the envelope. A sealed warning, unsigned, about professional boundaries and access control. No one said it directly, but everything said it clearly. They thought she was a thief. That night, she went home and stared at her hands. Rough knuckles, tiny burns from chemicals, lines along the skin from scrubbing grout. She held her own wrist and whispered, "What would I even do with a watch like that?" It wasn't pity that hit her. It was insult. She'd never stolen anything in her life. Not a coin, not a chocolate, not even a tip left behind on accident. But now, because she looked too long at something that wasn't hers, the entire house treated her like a suspect. Even the air felt colder when she walked through it. She still showed up every morning, still folded towels the way his mother had taught her. still emptied trash cans like they were sacred offerings. But inside, something cracked. Not loud, just enough to let in silence. And it all started with a kind act. She fixed a crooked painting, and now the only thing hanging crooked was the way they saw her. By the third week, the mansion didn't feel like a job. It felt like a test she didn't sign up for. Jeanette moved through rooms like she was trespassing in her own routine. Every doorknob felt like it might shock her. Every drawer felt like a trap. The silence wasn't silence anymore. It was surveillance. Even when no one was there, she felt watched. And it wasn't just her. The house had a pulse. Lights flickered a second too long when she entered. Elevator doors closed faster when she approached. Sensors pinged with no one around until she walked by. Once she tried to clean the reading lounge, the code didn't work. The system said access denied. It was the same room she'd cleaned weekly for 4 years, without fail, without issue. Now? Now it was off limits, just like half the house suddenly became. She didn't complain, didn't push back, didn't even ask questions. She knew how that looked. You ask why you're being followed, they say it's for security. You ask why your room's changed, they say renovations. You push too hard, they say it's not personal, just policy. But she wasn't policy. She was a person. A woman who woke up at 5:10 a.m. every day to catch the 6-watt bus in a uniform still damp from last night's wash. She had 3 different key cards in her bag. 2 expired, 1 demoted. She kept cleaning anyway. Not because she needed the money, though she did. But because she didn't want to give them the satisfaction. Then came the moment. She bent down to empty the trash in the wine cellar lounge, a place she hadn't been allowed into in 2 weeks. But today the system glitched. The door opened. Inside, everything was untouched, like a museum. Except for one thing. On the small end table near the armchair, where Mr. Callahan always sat to review quarterly reports, was a folded note. Out of place. Not fancy, just white paper. Scribbled handwriting. She wasn't going to read it, but her name was on it. Jeanette. She stared at it. Her hands hovered over the edge. Not touching. Just thinking. What if it was a trap? What if they'd planted it there? But she touched it anyway. She didn't open it, didn't read the contents. She just took it straight to the kitchen, folded it into a used envelope, and tucked it beneath the liner in the break room trash. She didn't know what it said. And honestly, she didn't want to, because the writing on the outside already told her enough. It wasn't just her name, it was a question. Can we trust her? She stood there in the break room, watching the coffee drip into the carafe. 1 drop. 2. 5. No one knew she'd seen it. No one would ever know she hid it. But something inside her shifted. The next day, she showed up 20 minutes early. No one was awake yet. No security, no chefs, just stillness. She walked straight to the hallway with the painting, the same one she had straightened weeks ago. It was crooked again, but this time she didn't fix it. She stared, long and hard, because maybe it wasn't just the painting that was out of place. Maybe it was the whole house. That night, she asked herself a question she hadn't let surface until now. How much does someone have to not do before they're seen as guilty anyway? The next day, things escalated. She was asked to clean the garage, a task she hadn't done in years. The car wasn't there. Just an open laptop on a bench. Logged in. To what? She didn't want to know. She called Mr. Callahan's assistant, left a voicemail. Sir, someone left a computer running in the garage. I didn't touch it. Just letting you know. No reply. No thank you. No nothing. But the next morning, a memo was taped to her locker. Avoid workstations unless instructed. Maintain professional boundaries. No signature. No apology. Just punishment, for being honest. And yet, she kept showing up. Why? Because at some point, when they push you into a corner so tight you can't even stretch, you stop trying to prove anything. You just wait. Watch. Listen. Because if you wait long enough, the same people who try to box you in end up revealing the thing they most wanted to hide. It happened on a Thursday. right before lunch. Mr. Callahan had flown back early from Geneva. His driver barely parked before he stormed inside, phone in hand, voice sharp. "Get me it." "Now," I said, "now." I don't care if he's in a meeting. If this leak is real, we're looking at exposure across 3 accounts. Jeanette heard every word from the laundry room. Not that she was eavesdropping. You don't need to lean in when someone's yelling into a speakerphone like the world owes them answers. She didn't understand the full picture, but the words leak, security, unauthorized access, they had a weight, a kind of heat you feel in your stomach, before you even know why. At 2:07 p.m., the internal server crashed. Callahan's staff scrambled, one on the phone with Switzerland, another whispering with legal in the hallway, a third sweating bullets trying to track down login history. By 2:30, the head of cybersecurity was pacing with his tablet in one hand and a hard drive in the other. Someone had accessed financial files from within the house, from an unlocked device. And that device, according to logs, was left open in the garage. Jeanette's stomach turned, not from guilt, from fear, because she had been in the garage. She didn't touch the laptop, didn't even walk past it. But she called it in. She'd done the right thing. But now she knew what it looked like. By 3:10, the conversation shifted. "I want names," Callahan snapped. "Check who had access. Cross it with cleaning schedules. Start there." And that was it. She was back on the radar. Not as a person, but as a variable, an error in the equation. Jeanette stood in the break room again. Same spot where she'd once tucked away that note. Same trash can. Same silence. She opened the lid slowly. Nothing but sandwich wrappers and paper towels. And then, beneath the bag, just like last time, a flash of white. Another note. Handwritten. Folded once. Her name on the front. But this time it wasn't a question. It was a sentence. If she saw it, we're screwed. Her breath stopped. Her fingers locked. Saw what? That's when the memory hit her. Not the watch, not the painting, not the laptop. The shredder. 2 weeks ago, she emptied it, like always. But that day, the bin was overstuffed, paper sticking out, and she remembered. One page not fully shredded. Lines of numbers, columns, names. She didn't look twice. Just scooped it into a trash bag, tied it, and tossed it with the recyclables. She ran. Not out of fear, out of instinct. Straight to the side storage room near the back garden, where they kept weekly disposal bags before city pickup. She rummaged like her life depended on it, because maybe it did. And then, there it was. The black bag, still sealed. She ripped it open. Dry cleaning slips. Discarded mail. Kitchen inventory forms. And at the bottom, torn in half but still readable, was the page. Not the whole spreadsheet, but the header was still there. Non-reported holdings, Cayman transfer schedule. And the initials in the corner, J.C. Jonathan Callahan. She didn't need to understand offshore banking to know this. He wasn't afraid of a leak. He was afraid someone might find what he thought he'd destroyed. But she didn't plan to blackmail him. She didn't plan anything. She just walked back inside. Calm, silent. Dropped the bag beside the other trash like it was just another Tuesday chore. No one even looked up, because no one checks the trash. At 4:15 p.m., Mr. Callahan called her into his office. She wiped her hands, fixed her sleeves, entered quietly. He stood near the window, stiff. "You've been here a long time," he said without turning. 7 years? 8, she replied. A pause. Then turning slightly, he added, "And yet, somehow, I don't know you at all." She didn't answer. He looked down, his voice dropped. "There's been a misunderstanding." She tilted her head. "About what?" He opened a drawer, pulled out the same gold watch, held it gently like it might shatter. "I assumed you were someone you weren't." And finally, his voice cracked. "I'm sorry." He didn't look at her, just stood there, still, embarrassed, fragile. She nodded once. "Do you want me to finish the floors?" He blinked. "Pardon?" She pointed to the corner where his chair had left deep marks in the carpet. "They've been collecting dust." He opened his mouth to respond, but instead, He just nodded. And as she walked out, he sat down slowly, watch in one hand, face in the other.